I'm Brendan Ponton at Town Center in Virginia Beach, which is part of the 2nd Congressional District. And ahead of tonight's debate, I sat down with both of the candidates to talk about the race and the issues. We'll start with Democratic incumbent Elaine Luria.
There's lots of energy.
Congresswoman Elaine Luria is a Democrat running in the 2nd District, which has gotten more red thanks to redistricting. But she thinks she's still the better choice to represent the voters.
I think that we can show a track record of having delivered for the Hampton Roads community over the last 4 years. And especially for some of those new areas that are rural in the district, we can point to the examples of what we've done on the Eastern Shore.
That includes things like upgrades to the 911 system on the Eastern Shore and pushing to increase the annual defense budget. Luria, a Navy veteran, is hoping to get elected for a 3rd time in the district. While some polling suggests inflation is the top issue for voters, Luria points to something else. When you have been out campaigning, what are the biggest issues that you're hearing from voters?
People are very, very concerned about the overturning of Roe versus Wade.
Luria says she supports Virginia's current law, which allows abortion through the 2nd trimester and then sets limits during the 3rd trimester unless a mother's health is in jeopardy. What do you think should be the standard? Should it be a national policy? Should it be up to the states?
What I think, and I voted for this twice in the House, is we should codify the Roe decision, essentially what's been the law of the land for 5 decades. We should make that into federal law.
And the bill, as amended, is passed.
On the economy, Luria voted to help pass the Inflation Reduction Act, which critics question whether it's really reducing inflation. Do you think that act will reduce inflation, or is it more of a climate change act?
I think it'll cut prescription drug costs for seniors. It will reduce the deficit by $200 million over the next decade, and it will invest in climate.
President Trump did not accept that answer.
Luria has also prominently served on the January 6th committee, which brought her national attention. But is it in step with how voters in the 2nd Congressional District feel?
I will say that the most common thing that people say to me when I cross paths with them in public is, thank you for your work on the committee. I think people look at what happened on January 6th and think of it as a tragedy.
MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards.
The president earlier in the summer gave a speech saying that the so-called MAGA Republicans are a threat to democracy. Do you agree with that?
I think that people who will not accept the results of free and fair elections are a threat to democracy.
And with Election Day quickly approaching, Luria is remaining optimistic about her chances.
I think that we're seeing the enthusiasm across the district. I think that talking about my record, what our team has done for the 2nd District, and the constituents here, is going to be something that people are going to think about when they go to the polls, and I think we're going to come out on top. I also spoke with Republican State Senator Jen Kiggans, who is hoping to unseat Luria.
It's been going great. A lot of momentum since last November.
Republican Jen Kiggans is expecting a fight in her run for Congress in Virginia's 2nd Congressional District against Elaine Luria.
It's going to be a tight race. This is not a far red, deep red or deep blue district. This is certainly a purple district. Still, as was my state Senate district in 2019, but I feel like we have a lot of wind at our back.
Kiggans says she first was motivated to run for state Senate after seeing all the partisanship in politics. Elected as a state senator representing Virginia Beach and Norfolk in 2019, Kiggans is also a Navy veteran. When you're talking to voters, what are the issues that are on their minds that they're telling you about?
Probably the number one issue that they talk about, they're just not happy with the direction of the country, right? This is what we hear above all else. If I push them into why do you think that? They'll talk about the economy.
Kiggans says her aim is to lower gas prices and reduce inflation.
We've got to stop some of the wasteful spending. That's probably the number one thing that we are focused on, saying no to the trillions of dollars that have been passed since Joe Biden took office. That'll be my first priority.
And an issue that's dominated TV ads, abortion. Kiggans calls herself a pro-life candidate, but says it's a state's issue.
What's extreme?
And has pushed back on attack ads from Luria that call her extreme.
What I will say is that my opponent has lied about my stance on abortion. I have always been a person who's allowed for those exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. We have never been it's never been a priority of mine to make abortion illegal or to ban abortion completely, allowing for those exceptions.
Kiggans has also dodged questions about whether she believes Joe Biden rightfully won in 2020.
We're done.
Here's how she answered that question from News 3 in June.
I'll say this, Joe Biden lives in the White House, and I wish that he didn't.
Has your position changed on that at all? Are you any more clear on your thoughts on
He's the president. I can't be any more clear. He lives in the White House. I wish he didn't. He is the president of the United States.
But so do you believe, though, in 2020, Joe Biden was elected rightfully?
So I answered the question, and we're going to move on to 2022, which is the election today to talk about.
And Kiggans believes people in the district want to balance the power the Democrats have had for the last 2 years.
We're going to win because we're going to work hard, we're going to get people out to vote, and they're going to come out to vote because they're not happy with what's going on right now.
The debate starts at 7 o'clock, and you can catch it right here on News 3. In Virginia Beach, Brendan Ponton, News 3.